Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to our Flourish Focus. This is a series where we feature one-on-one exchanges with fintech innovators around the world. I'm Efayomi Carr, principal at Flourish Ventures. As a global fintech investor, our focus is identifying technology innovations that at their core help directly or indirectly advance financial health and economic resilience for people and small businesses. Today, I'm thrilled to talk with one of our portfolio partners, Flash, a company that enables instant and simple payment options for users digitally or via QR code. Joining me for this discussion is Flash's co-founder and head of marketing, Sherine. Sherine, great to have you. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us on Flourish Focus. So Sherine, I want to jump right into it. So just tell me how you got interested in the tech space and in payments more specifically.
Very interesting question. Thanks, Eva. So basically, I majored in finance and then I moved my career towards marketing. I worked for Vodafone for 4 years, and then I moved to Uber. I was heading marketing for Uber Egypt, and I was part of the disruption of the on-demand service in Egypt. And I loved tech and how it was extremely disruptive to a country where everyone thought, no, I'm not getting in a car with a stranger. So then I was helping one of my colleagues at Uber. He wanted to start a new fintech. And I was like, what is fintech? What are these two words, finance and technology? How are these like combined to one another? And then I started helping him with the brand, and I loved it. So it was great combining what I actually studied and what I worked for the past years in my life in one place. And it's just great being part of the change that is currently happening in Egypt and being like one of the first fintechs to actually observe the change. So and be part of the change. So that's it.
No, I mean, you've had a pretty interesting experience, and it sounds like you've been part of this wave of new entrepreneurs in Egypt that are tackling some of these difficult challenges. I mean, tell me, what do you see as the opportunity in tech in Egypt right now, but also specifically in payments, which has obviously grown quite a bit since you started working in the space?
So I'm sure everyone has been following what's been happening in India. So in India, there's the whole change from moving from a very like cash intensive country to a place where it's more towards cashless. So Egypt is exactly following the footsteps, and it's great. Our central bank is really promoting all of fintechs. It's really supporting all of fintechs. It's changing the regulations. So being part of that change and being part of one of the fintechs that's actually helping the central bank to come up with what really works for the market and what doesn't. This is actually a great opportunity for us to be part of it. With specifically Flash, we're mainly focused in payments, where we really want to help the user become capable of paying for anything, anytime, anywhere, at any moment, without having to go into like many different bumps or like many different steps. So it's just trying to make things easier for our users.
Yeah, no, and obviously you guys are developing a very useful product for Egyptians. Maybe tell me a bit more. How does Flash work? What do you guys do? And how do people actually interact with your product?
So it's the very first time in Egypt for a person to pay with their phone. People are not used to that. So once you see a person just tapping a phone somewhere, people would be like, "What are you doing? What is this?" So it's still a place where it's just things like that it's very new to us. So that's basically what we're trying to move people. It's the evolution of, at the beginning it's all cash, and then there's a thing called the card, and now we're taking it more towards the phone. Like you just need to have a charged phone. Basically, it's what we want. We want to enable everyone in Egypt across all different levels to be able to receive money and to pay money in a digitized manner. So if you've come to Egypt, so obviously you've seen we have a lot of street sellers, and these street sellers, how can they grow their business? They don't have any financial records because they only collect their money in cash. So we want to drive the business we want to drive the country to a place where even street sellers can collect their money in a digitized manner, so they can have a track record, a financial track record, and accordingly they can go and borrow money, and then they can grow their business and so on. So basically that's our end vision. We're starting with a very focused product, which is cash on delivery. So COD in Egypt, you can deliver anything in Egypt 24/7, and it's mostly cash. So you have 80% of our payments, it's in cash. It's insane. And the thing is, the courier, he calls you all of a sudden as if all you have to do is wait for your shipment to arrive. So you're sitting wherever you are, you get a phone call, hi, I'm coming to your house right now to drop off your shipments. You ordered this and this and that. But I'm not home, or there's no cash at home. I'm not used to having any amount of cash at home. So at moments, I actually take the courier with me in the car. I go to an ATM, take out money, and then pay the shipment. Or I call my mom or anyone at home, guys, do you have money? My mom would be, no, I don't have money. What do you expect? What do you want me to get for you? So that's basically what we're trying to solve, is that payment can become so easy. You can pay remotely, even if you're sitting next to you in Nairobi. I can basically pay for anything just by uploading a QR code, scanning a QR code, and it's very low tech for the courier as well. They don't have to have like an NFC enabled phone or any of that sort. All they have to do is have like a piece of QR code. The user scans the QR code and ta-da, it's paid. So that's the first thing we're tackling in Egypt.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to when we were in Cairo and just yeah, I mean, but cash is king, right? And so what you guys are doing is certainly has a huge use case and a need in that market. I mean, I'd be curious, how has it been perceived so far? I mean, this is obviously the first time people are using their phone to pay for things, or using sort of digital payments more broadly in Egypt. What's been the feedback you guys have gotten from customers, from users, even in these early days?
So basically, like, it's that feedback is the one biggest challenge that we also currently have. It's that people do not know what it is that means with the phone. Even merchants, like, we go to merchants and we're like, yeah, do you have a cash collection problem? They'd be like, yeah, we do. It's a big issue. Do you lose money when collecting cash? Yes, we do. So what if I told you I can move that and I can settle the money directly to your bank account? How are you going to do that? I'm like, yeah, it's as easy as that. And then we, like, because obviously I have the app on my phone. So when we show it to users and even merchants, they would be like, what, is this available? I'm like, yeah, it is available. That's what we're doing. So now we're working very closely with merchants and with users. Like, we get a lot of feedback on how easy it is. And like, I'm really trying to consider even changing our tagline to words like how easy it is, because everyone gets so stuck. It's like just 2 steps. You add your card once and you pay. In Egypt, if you try to pay anything with your phone, by the way, you have to add like you either get an OTP and then you have like a 1 minute and you try to catch the time to remember the OTP to write it quickly. Or if you have a card linked, it's going to ask you for your CVV, or you have to remember which card did I link to my app, and you start looking for your wallet. And we're removing all of that. It's just with a biometric authentication, it's paid. So how easy it is, it makes people just it helps it grow organically so far. So it's been really good and really challenging educating the market. So we really hope that like the entire country starts moving towards digitized payments. So they help us in the awareness of pay with your phone.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned sort of India and UPI earlier, where it started off being also a foreign concept, but now it's sort of ubiquitous across the market. There's so many different pieces to Flash, from the consumer side, businesses, couriers you mentioned. How do these pieces fit together in sort of the long-term vision of what the product would look like in years down the road, and how users will actually interact with it?
So exactly as you mentioned, so Egypt now has something called IPN, which is it means an instant payment network. It's exactly like UPI. So with that vision and having that kind of technology in Egypt, and with the central bank soon availing it to fintechs and other bigger companies, it's really going to help in moving the country and moving all these different pieces, like bringing all these different pieces together, because the rates are going to go so low, so that that roadblock, that like show blocker towards most people with the card fees and so on, it's just gonna drop down. So it's really gonna bring everything together. With IPN, we are all very, very hopeful that this can be used in many different projects for everyone, and we can support in peer-to-peer transactions. We can support in peer-to-merchant transactions. So it becomes a place where just payments, it's something that you don't think of We want to be the place where then the user becomes like, why am I happy paying? This is paying for something and losing money should never be a good thing. But then we want like that magical feeling that does this feel magical? Why am I happy? Why do I want to pay? So that kind of feeling is something that we want, while also helping users become mindful spenders. So pay for what you want, but be happy when you pay it is where we want to head.
That makes sense. And actually, I'm going to ask you a clarifying question, because not all of our users are familiar with Egyptian fintech regulation. So maybe just a quick explainer on what IPN is, how it's being used in the market, and how you guys are leveraging it.
Definitely. So instant payment network is a place where, but it's not a place, it's a network where it's kind of like also like a place where it connects all banks to this network. So once you pay with your phone and you link your card, you don't get charged on the card fees. The money gets automatically deducted from your account, which makes all payments very instant. So because in Egypt, if I transfer money to someone, if it's not the same bank, the money doesn't show at their bank at the same day. It takes a couple of days for the money to show. But now with IPN, you can transfer money from one bank to another bank, and it shows instantly. So having instant payments during weekends, during weekdays, 24/7, it just makes payments like you don't even have to transfer big amounts. I can literally be in a place and I forgot my wallet and I can't pay, for example. Someone can pay for me, and because I would be like, yeah, I'm going to just send you the money right away. And it becomes just so instant. So it removes that, where's my wallet? What did I do? What did I forget? So with IPN, it's really a game changer, because not only between peer-to-peer, where people can just transfer money like that, even for the settlement for the merchants, because the money, it will reflect on their account instantly. Customers can pay directly to the merchants, where they can also collect their money instantly. So just having an instant feeling, it's like an instant payment. It's something that's really going to help merchants make more money. It's going to make users pay less money. So it's just a happy scenario for everyone.
No, it's a total game changer for Egypt. And, it's one of those examples where we've seen how government and regulators are actually at the forefront of trying to provide innovation and opportunities for new technologies. Obviously, you guys work very closely with these folks. Maybe tell me a bit about your experience and working with government in Egypt, and how you guys have actually worked as collaborators across a range of products.
So with the first product that we currently have, which is Scan and Pay, so we went to the central bank and we said, we have that solution. What do we do? Do we need a license for that? So they worked very, very, very closely with us. We signed with one of the biggest Egyptian governmental banks, obviously, that also connected us with the central bank. And with their help, we managed to be one of the very few fintechs that we have a license called the Technical Aggregator License, which is very rare in the market. It's very new, where we can combine different merchants in one place in a consumer-facing app. So this license is also very new to Egypt, and we went through all of the steps with the central bank, and it's kind of like we are both trying out how can we make this work. So that's one of the things that actually excite me the most about being part of that phase. It's that the license is new. We're doing this as a new thing. We and the regulator are both supporting one another to make sure that what's built in the regulations is something that helps us and other fintechs in the market grow the scene all together. And it also it just goes both ways. And they've been super helpful. A lot of them, like, they always reach out to give us ideas of things that we can do to grow our business. What can we do to do better? Connecting us with others to make sure that we're in the right space. So it's been great, honestly, and I hope it keeps on upwards and onwards.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm always really impressed by the relationship you guys have with regulators and government, but also how it's sort of a two-way street. They provide opportunities for you guys and resources, and then you guys take those resources and build new products that service the community and the country at whole. I want to stay on this a bit, because Egypt is obviously it's an incredible place, but recently it's been plagued by some instability at a macro level, either currency devaluation or high debt, et cetera. And despite this, it seems like there's been such a strong startup community. So maybe talk about some of those challenges from a macro perspective and how that affects the work you do, especially when you're working so closely with government and new technologies.
So like I think even like a bit of a follow-up on the earlier question that you have is that being part of the problem, it's something that provides a lot of opportunity, because helping the country grow, helping the country at a time like this, it attracts also investors like you guys. Like, we managed to get one of the best, if not the best, like investors across the world to invest in us, and it grows investments in Egypt. And it's currently with the dollar devaluation. Obviously, the country needs dollars, so it's definitely a great place to be as like a core function in the problem, because having that kind of visibility and having that window of opportunity to actually do something to help grow. So with every problem comes, like with every dip comes an opportunity. So that's currently how we're looking at it, specifically being a payments app. So we are seeing the payment behavior of people. What are people paying money in? So one of the products that came in our minds during that phase is, how can we help people become more mindful spenders? How can we help people save more? How can we help people invest? How can we help people spend in things and provide, like, this merchant has a great discount and we've noticed that this is your interest. How can we build something that is very personalized to people, that helps them get what they want and not just overspend in just literally anything, but at the same time be more mindful in their money and help them grow? So just being like part of the problem gives us a lot of luxury, to be honest, and we're very grateful to be living during that part where we can hopefully help the country become move from that space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you guys are doing a fantastic job of, I guess, resilience is probably the best way to describe operating a new product in challenging conditions. So you mentioned some of the difficulties earlier, but I'd be curious, what has been some of the biggest challenges you've faced so far and challenges to come, between regulators, customers, et cetera?
Well, definitely a lot. I definitely have a long list to go. So as you mentioned earlier, so since you've been to Egypt, so cash is king in this country. So moving people's habits from being so used to cash to moving towards cashless is that you don't need that anymore. And changing behavior is definitely one of the hardest things that we have to work on. Other than that, it's obviously regulations, because we're at a place where it's just very new, like everything, like with new things, it's just a lot of, it goes both ways. So we test something, we change something. So it's still not easy to have like a clear regulations for us to follow. It's something that obviously gets built over time. Just as much as we have an MVP, the government is also does have an MVP to keep on trying and changing. Another interesting challenge is it's getting senior engineers and senior product people in Egypt. It's one, like, hiring is also not the easiest thing, because we're trying to build a product that is it's product led. So we need the top talent in Egypt when it comes to eng and product. So it's obviously a challenge finding people in that space. And just how to grow in a sustainable way with everything happening around us. So how do we keep on growing without burning cash, but to become to have like a sustained growth in a country that every day, like when you blink, there's news. So there's always news and there's always changes. So how do you stay sustained? Like, how do you be like more grounded and sustained in a very highly moving country?
No, thanks for sharing those. And I think you have a unique perspective on this, having been at Uber, which was one of the sort of early high growth tech startups, and now being almost part of the second generation of founders who can leverage some of those experiences. I mean, what are some of the lessons that you took from that experience that you continue to leverage or that you can build on while at Flash?
It's all about people. Whatever you do, just get the right people that are resilient. Like mainly it obviously depends on the role, but I like to hire for attitude, for behavior, for not just for talent. Many things obviously require talent, but it's just choosing the right people for the right role at the right time, and do not overhire, do not underhire. It's a very hard equation, because you can do something great, you can have an amazing idea, but not have the right people behind it, and it's gonna fail. But so it's just that you can have a great product that everybody loves, but then overnight the government just decides, nope, not gonna do it. It's not gonna work. So what happens if it fails? So to me, it's just finding people that are also okay with failure. They're okay with testing. They're okay with testing and retesting, and having that resilience that we can build something that may not work. People may not want it. So does this mean that it's not going to work as like a company, as a brand? No, it doesn't mean. It means like we need to maneuver into something else. So it's just about finding the right people. And as you said, Ifa, like at Uber, when I was hired at Uber to lead, I was heading campaigns at the beginning for Uber. Well, that was my first job at Uber. Before that, I majored in finance. I had no TV at home, not at home, but in my room. I didn't watch TV. I wasn't like a radio person. I didn't know if I want this billboard, who do I talk to? And they hire me to lead campaigns, including media, creative, and production. And I had zero knowledge of all of this. So it's just finding people that want to know, that are curious enough to not just want to know, to want to do it good and the best, and to try and fail until you just excel at what you do. So people is my one main takeout.
No, I mean, and you obviously have assembled a great team, and your co-founder Eric is also from Uber. So clearly there was some element that you guys shared and brought with you. I guess as you think about, the ecosystem developing, I mean, startups are still quite new in Egypt. And so as you're constantly, and I'm part of these conversations, recruiting new talent, new engineers, new team members to help build this next generation of solutions. How do you think this mentality is emerging? Are folks in your generation, are they interested in joining startups and starting companies and working in the tech sector? How has that evolved?
It's definitely on the rise. So back in the days when I was at university, there was no such thing as the word entrepreneur. Fun fact, that the word entrepreneur was very hard for us to pronounce, because the word is like a bit French. Now there's a whole course and like a whole major of entrepreneurship. So the shift, even in education and even in university, it's something that is very interesting to see, because I didn't even know of that back in the days. Like a startup was called an SME or a Soho. There was no such thing as a startup. So now it's the thing where most graduates, like I get calls every day from people that want to intern at our company while we've been at stealth mode. So it's just it's a very nice change, even in the talent sector. I think it's just there's scarcity in engineers and product people, but otherwise it's a very nice place to be, and it's very nice meeting people, and people know of the Uber because fun fact as well, most of the Uber OG team, like the ones that launched in Egypt, everyone left, and most of us have our own startups. So it's kind of like that second generation also that you're talking about. So people love the Uber story in Egypt because everyone thought it would never work. How people don't ride a lot of there's a lot of people who ride taxis, but there's this whole safety element in it. Now everyone's an Uber. Like it's just so that success story, it's something that people also love to follow.
No, it's so interesting because you're right. Like all those Uber OGs are now, doing the next product. And I feel like so much of that first generation of startups in Egypt was around sort of logistics, like more tangible sectors, is like Swivel, et cetera. And so much of that is moving to fintech. I guess, how do you see the fintech opportunity emerging in the coming years with things like IPN, but also other regulation and talent going into the sector?
It's seriously the perfect time to be in a fintech. It's the perfect time. It's the perfect time with everything that's been happening. Everything is about money these days because of the devaluation. Where did I spend? And like just trying to track money, it's something that's quite impossible. But I just figure I have £5 in my pocket that I don't know where did that come from. So, and that's one of the very interesting insights that we have, and that's actually one of the products that we're trying to build these days. Is that a proper tracking mechanism? Like you can literally send a voice note to the app and say, it's like talking to yourself or talking to Siri. It's kind of like, I took £1,000 from the ATM. So like a place to track all your money and to track all your spendings to help you become a conscious spender and like more mindful with your spend. It's something that we think us, along with we'd really love to also encourage all different fintech startups in Egypt to really think of the end user and to how to make their lives better, how to make the merchants' lives better. So with IPN and with all of the different regulations, with the cloud regulations, like Egypt is working on the cloud regulations to also make tech a better place instead of the current local hosting, which is a mandate for all fintechs. So they're working on cloud regulations. They're working on eKYC. Like there's a lot of things that are coming to the market that just makes it very and I'm sure you've heard of like Apple Pay that's also launching in Egypt finally. So there's a lot of changes that are happening in the market, and I'm very glad to be like one of the active fintechs that decided to take that chance very, very early stages.
No, and we're thankful we get to work with you guys, especially given all that's happening in the market. We have time for one more question, so I'll get you out of here on this. I mean, what are the next steps for Flash and for you, and how will that sort of shape the industry as it continues to grow?
Next steps is so now that we're done with the license, which is a great step for us to have. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Central Bank. Thank you, Bank. So now that we finally have our license and we finalize the process with the bank, the next step is to get merchants on board. So growth is the way to go. Sustainable growth is definitely the way to go. So merchant acquisitions it's what we're mainly focused on in the next period, because it's not just about signing with a merchant or getting them to like the idea. The thing is, we're trying to fix their logistics. We're trying to fix. So it's kind of back to the Uber days a little bit with logistics. Why? Because they're used to doing delivery in a specific way. They're used to their couriers, like just taking the cash, bringing it to the store. Like there's this whole current setup with the couriers and like a car coming to the store and delivering the money to the bank. Like there's this whole very like old way to go around money. So we're trying to fix the logistics for them, fix how the process goes, and then integrate into that process. So we're becoming more of an active, not just from a financial advisor, we're also like a logistics advisor for most merchants. So partnering with merchants, and while doing that, also working on the next license, which is the IPN license for peer-to-peer. So we have that regulatory piece, and also working on many different products as we go, such as like the one that I just mentioned, like tracking your money, like just many different other products in the pipeline.
Awesome. A lot more to come, and we're excited to be along for the journey with you guys. Sherine, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and for having this conversation with me. Always a pleasure and enlightening to speak with you and to learn more about what you guys are doing.
We're very lucky having you guys. It's like we're very lucky having you believe in us from early days, and it's a pleasure talking to you always. Honestly, hopefully great things to come.
I have no doubt. Well,
thanks so much, Eva.
Thank you. And I want to just quickly thank you all for joining us today. And for any questions regarding today's discussion, Flourish Ventures or our portfolio companies, please email us at events@flourishventures.com. Thank you for joining.